welcome back to the show. Now we're getting to the second half of our topic. To start with our next topic, there was a really interesting conversation that happened recently with Dr. J in an interview, and the main conversation was about the top 10 all time player list, him leaving out LeBron and Steph. And he said, the reason he said he left out LeBron because he's got to finish his career. He also said Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor are untouchable. And we always hear these lists going around circulating. It can be barbershop talk, like who do you think, LeBron or MJ? Like who's your go? Like Kobe. All of these different conversations. Like what did you think about his list? Obviously, he's going to be biased towards his generation, but just the narrative of a certain player has to be left out because they need to finish their career. When I personally think LeBron's like one of the three best ever, if not in that top one, and based on his catalog and what he's done.
Yeah, the I will say before I go further into what is very wrong about this list, I'm going to start with this. I've come to respect a lot more older basketball fans advocating for the players that they saw. Like, they were not all plumbers. They were not all mechanics.
Right. Very
They
true.
could hoop. I remember watching the Bill Russell documentary on Netflix. Highly recommend, by the way.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh my gosh, Bob Cousy's a problem. Like he's like a joke on social media.
Yeah, people
but he was like,
Cousy
but
on
he was,
Twitter.
but he was nice with it. Boy was nice with it. Yeah, like he was good. It was the late 50s, but he was good.
Yeah.
And also it's important to remember too that it's almost in some ways unfair to judge people based on the era they played in. In some ways, because there's never a perfect one-to-one comparison. Excuse me. There is better training, better understanding of what kind of diet and conditioning you need to excel at your craft. There is a better understanding of what of the most efficient forms of play are. That allow athletes to evolve in different ways depending on the year they were born. And so, there are a lot of players that would have been absolute beasts in this era if they had the opportunity to to play with a 3-point, not just a 3-point line, but understanding of the importance of just kind of letting it fly from three. Meanwhile, there are dudes from this era who would be just monsters in the 60s or 70s because there's more of a paint-oriented play, or 90s for that matter, like
different eras require different like main go-tos, like you said, with the 90s and the physicality. Right. Like it's just different.
Yeah, exactly. Players evolve based on on what's in front of them. Would Marc Gasol be like shooting threes if he was born in 1962? Probably not. Or something like, to use one example, or Anthony Davis as an even better example. Like he shoots threes because not well at this point, but but at one point he was decent at it because he was born and developed at the age of 3-point was important. So I really do appreciate old heads saying, hey, listen, Oscar Robertson was a bucket, fine.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, LeBron James is clearly
easily
in the top 2, or even if you're very conservatively 3.
Yeah.
If you value the Bill Russell championship collection, in a special way. You know
That's
what I mean?
Another conversation.
But there's anything else is utter disrespect. It's almost as if you are watching the game with a chip on your shoulder. There is no GOAT of the past who is so great that they could not possibly or conceivably be surpassed by a GOAT of the future. And that comes to everyone. That will come for LeBron one day.
It will. Yeah.
Like wherever he lands in the consensus NBA fan top whatever rankings, whether we're getting 1, 2, or 3, and it's really just that. Eventually, maybe 10 years from now, maybe 50 years from now, maybe 1,000 years from now, he will get knocked
Yeah.
down somewhere lower because someone better will come.
Yeah.
Like
Somebody
he's,
came along. Somebody else came
and
along.
someone who watched LeBron games, as a kid and learned, how to, his play style, but also, I don't know, developed a jumper, from at an earlier age. You know what I mean? Like someone's gonna come in with that, with the same kind of court vision and IQ and physicality, but also, I don't know, a 4-pointer because of Adam Silver had a
The league's
4-pointer
gonna
one day,
expand so
to
much. He's
spice
gonna
things up.
just put it
So
back.
like, and so LeBron's not a sacred cow either, like and similarly, neither is Bill Russell, neither is Wilt, neither is neither is Julius, neither is Oscar Robinson. None of these dudes, um, are deities, who cannot be questioned.
Right.
Like that's insane to me. To do, to put them on such a pedestal that they can never be reconsidered or reevaluated when something new comes along. And
Yeah.
LeBron is clearly one of those people. So is Steph Curry, for that matter. Like, and again, he's one of those things where it's the right era for him.
Mhm.
He simply, would not be uh utilized in as effective a way if he was born 20 years earlier,
Oh, for
which is
sure.
how we
Yeah.
saw with his dad.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
but that and also the way the rules are called probably would make it harder for him to withstand the physicality of like 90s era NBA,
Yeah.
But that being said, we can't knock him for that either.
It's not his
Like
fault. It's
you're
not his
born when
fault.
you're born. Yeah, you're born, and he hits shots from freaking half court,
Yeah.
which nobody was doing to at the uh
Velocity, the same velocity.
volume
Yeah.
and velocity. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that he does.
Mhm.
Like he's literally changed games. He's changed how defenses play. Like almost single handedly, and he's developed a whole bunch of spiritual children in his wake, like Trey Young. Who simply just chuck
Copycats.
because of um because of what Steph showed is the human body is capable of doing with
Mhm.
enough practice and the right genes.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, man, I just don't like I just don't like being so sacrosanct um about your favorites from the era you played in or the era you watched.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna have their favorites. Everybody's gonna. I think the lists from 10 years from now are gonna look a lot different than even the ones that we have today, just because of how the changes that are made. And before we move on, like everything that's happened with this past season, obviously the Nuggets winning the championship, the now we're getting the Damian Lillard trade request, um, the Celtics obviously with what they're doing with Jaylen Brown and Tatum and giving Brown a crazy extension. Like, what are your thoughts on just what happened at the end of the last season and things going forward that just maybe stand out to you for the NBA?
Okay, first off, I'm glad that you asked that question because I I'm always happy to take the opportunity to say that Nikola Jokic proved everyone who doubted him wrong.
Here's your opportunity.
Like, the man was clearly a great player,
Yeah,
and clearly deserving of the last two MVPs. I think it's okay to build an argument that Joel Embiid, was better than him during the regular season, but like, um, but there is so many things beyond the analytics and advanced stats, and we shouldn't ignore those either. But even if you just kind of watch his game, the man is, like, um, he just consistently makes correct decisions
always.
over and over
Yeah,
and over, relentlessly does that,
yeah,
um, despite being, perhaps the most skilled person of his height, of like ever, maybe
yeah,
like at this point.
possibly.
Yeah, he just makes relentlessly correct decisions. It's like, what if Chris Paul was just like a foot taller, like, you know what I mean, like like, well,
What
like
ifs?
that's a foot, more than a foot actually, because he's not 6'0", we all know that, but like, that
You've been
is
lying about that for years.
um right, like, not in sneakers, like, but actually, flat footed, 1 foot tall, like that is, that's what we're seeing with this guy, and that's great. So I'm
Mhm.
I'm happy that he is showing people a little something about the game, Um, and I'd say second. I mean, I think I find a lot of the off-season moves to be a precursor to real problems in the collective bargaining agreement that was agreed to, where
Great point.
the we're surpassing that second apron, is going to is going to create real roster crunches, and you're seeing teams already starting to get ahead of that, with or kind of face the music in their own way. Um, the Chris Paul trade, I think, being one example of that, and where like they could have had him partially guaranteed, but they already had so much money committed to Brad, KD, and Book, Devin Booker. Like they had to make a choice, as far as like will you be able to have anyone else on this roster if we have
Exactly.
Chris
How
Paul.
can we fit anybody else?
Even though even his age and his injury issues, he's still an effective as hell player.
Oh yeah.
Like and so and the Warriors will benefit significantly from having him. Whether he's a point guard or a six man or whatever it is, like Chris Paul is still going to help that team.
Always.
Especially when Steph has to rest.
Yeah.
So, like that, and so that brings the Jaylen Brown conundrum, right? In where a clearly very good, but not
Not like richest
obviously great
contract in
player.
NFL in NBA history. Good.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So like it's just this is their team now.
Yep. We're
Like it's
stuck with it.
Tatum, it's Jaylen Brown. Um, I don't think it's the wrong choice, but it is but it's very much like a choice. You know what I mean? Like it is something they had. It's something that they um you have to do in full confidence that these guys can win it all. And you know what? It's not even wrong to think that because they were 2 games away a year ago.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
that
not saying at all.
they were up 2-1,
Yeah,
and they made some interesting tweaks to that team. Adding Chris Stapps, Porzingis, and
right.
you know
That's a risk. It's a risk.
changing their identity to perhaps a more offensive oriented one.
Yes.
Losing Marcus Smart. But that and that's all and that's all right. I think that with it's so, when it comes back to Brown again, yeah, the contract's very very large. Like he's not he's the richest player in the game, but he's not the best. But sometimes I think you can lose sight of what someone can do when you focus on what things they can't. Yeah, sometimes the
Very
ball bounces off his shoes when he dribbles, and yeah,
true.
like he's got the court vision of a goldfish, but like he plays hard on defense, and he plays hard on defense. He can get buckets. He can score at all three levels of the court. Um, and and so I believe that he can be, if not the absolute tip of a spear of a modern NBA offense, a really important part of one that can win a championship. And again, we saw that because 2 wins away.
Yeah.
Like and he's someone who is obviously the Celtics have had ups and downs the last couple of years in the postseason. As far as like where it seemed that they were the more talented team, and yet didn't succeed. But that guy has been playing good in playoff games since he was 20 years old.
Oh yeah.
Like he took him
Without
and
question.
Tatum took LeBron to 7 games as young men in early 20. Tatum was like 19, and then Brown was like 20 or 21.
You can
So
almost
like
say you can.
that is like that he's kind of forever got my respect for his capacity in the court.
Yeah.
But again, it's just I think the big ultimate question is can the Celtics still build a good enough team around them, especially when Jason Tatum's extension kicks in and that is coming, and then he'll be the richest guy in the game.
Coming up.
And yeah, will they be able to fill out enough of a roster, acknowledging the flaws that Tatum and Brown have, that still competes for titles every year.
Yeah, because you can almost say that team, that duo, was just guaranteed to get you to the Eastern Conference Finals almost every year. Like they are going to get far. It's just the question of, is the offensive-minded approach of bringing in a Porzingis and letting go of Marcus Smart going to pay off for you? And that's and that's the biggest concern because Marcus Smart, he was kind of like the heart and soul of that team, almost like how Draymond is for Golden State.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of shifting.
And it's worth mentioning
Yeah.
though, Chris Stapps is a hell of a defender
Oh
though.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I would argue
Not
he's
taking
still a
away
better
that from
defensive
him.
player than offense. But it's changing a little bit of the shape of the defense, perhaps, in that in where they are less elite at the point of attack, but nonetheless, um, like what changing, the adding the unique, sharpshooting 7-footer, 7'3" of that, right?
Yeah,
skills that Chris has in the shot and the strong shot blocking and all that. It's a change in their identity, and hopefully for them it is a good change and not one that actually sets them back a little bit.
for sure. Where do you think Dame ends up before we move on? I know it's tough to predict,
Um,
but
I think it'll be Miami because I just think that they got that
they're just waiting. They're
they
waiting for
will
the right
yeah
offer.
yeah just wait yeah exactly they're just waiting for um Portland to realize that as great as Damian Lillard is, due to the realities of NBA cap math, and his age, they cannot get as much as perhaps his brand name might suggest that he should get. I think that's kind of what is happening, and so because Miami can put in a still competitive offer, if not the best theoretical one
Yeah,
that other teams can. Like it's competitive enough. He clearly wants to be there, and and Dame's value is decreasing due to him being in his early 30s.
yeah, absolutely. And now getting towards our last topic with Domingo German's treatment for alcohol abuse and also how the Yankees handled the situation. Last week, the Yankees right-hander voluntarily entered inpatient treatment for alcohol abuse, and the general manager, Brian Cashman, said he won't pitch again this season. He has had trouble in the past on and off the field with different suspensions. What were your thoughts on this situation and also, some of the statements, the Yankees general manager said and just how this whole situation played out and the coverage of it.
Yeah, I'm first of all, I hope that Domingo German is getting the help that he needs, and I hope that his wife and his children are cared for. That they are that if this, is and it really could be the end of his career,
Yeah, really good.
due to him also having a very serious domestic violence incident in his past as well that was partially influenced by alcohol. That their finances are cared for and that and that everyone and that they can be a healthy family unit one day, but yeah, I can't say I'm surprised either because you know both the proclivities to the kind of dynamics that create domestic violence as well as the proclivities of alcohol are both really really hard things to reform and change. Not impossible, but they're hard. And um and while he was suspended for a long period of time, um the Yankees still brought him back. And it's hard to maintain the character you need in in the in and to and the sort of removal of triggers that you need, both the stress of your job, the amount of alcohol that flows around you, like for example when you clinch a championship game and and everyone's just spraying beer on you, um it's that's really challenging and difficult. And so if that isn't attacked from the root, and I find it hard to believe that it's attacked from the root in a baseball or competitive sports environment, then it doesn't shock me that those dysfunctional patterns of behavior could manifest and return the way they did. Um, I remember, one thing that I remember about the Yankees uh, a long time ago, almost 30 years at this point. So they had a great player named Darryl Strawberry, who was a star with the Mets in the '80s. Crashed super hard due to substance abuse issues and also domestic violence. The Yankees gave him a second chance, and he was a very good player for them, even as he was aging. But when they celebrated their championship, or their big wins that where champagne or beer would be spread, they use non-alcoholic drinks
Mm,
to do that as a way of supporting him
yeah,
and showing like, hey,
we're here for you.
we're with you in this, in your struggle with substance abuse. And I believe that's, first of all, I think that's a bare minimum thing that probably should be instituted in most locker rooms, given given the what we know demographically about how common alcohol and substance abuse is. But but even with that, Daryl Strawberry still relapsed, again,
Mm, yeah,
after that great title, run of titles with the Yankees. He was just, now he's back, and he's by all accounts sober over the last 20 plus years or so. But it just shows how awful that demon of alcohol abuse can be,
yeah, it really
and
can.
how, and those addictions are, and how dangerous. And so if you're not uh in a 360-degree way, creating the best environment for success and change and healing and reform, like, then
You should expect the situations.
we should expect relapses.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
shouldn't expect the straight and narrow. We should expect the veering off.
Hmm. Absolutely. Is there anything overall you would say in MLB in terms of any like changes made within the game, or it could be cap space, how players are paid, anything that stands out to you in terms of the development of MLB that you see on a daily basis, or anything going forward that you think should change, or maybe even like you said, dealing with people that have addictions or inner demons.
Yeah, look, the list of things that should change in baseball is too
I
long
know you're gonna.
for this
We'd be here for like two
for this
hours.
space. Yeah, so I ain't even gonna do that. I'm too long winded already as is. What I will say is that um, the the game has made significant strides in, as far as we talk about finances and how money's flowed. The game has made significant strides as far as paying minor leaguers better. Now a lot of that's due to the successful unionization effort of the minor leagues, one of the great stories in American labor history, really.
Mm,
But as though it is better, there's still a much higher level to climb. I don't believe the revenues are being shared in an equitable way. Many people still do not have what you would call a living wage within whatever sort of community context they're in, and in baseball, can and should do better in making sure that the players, whether they become stars or not, but are still essential to to both spreading the game in smaller towns and smaller cities, and developing the stars, because they got to play against somebody.
exactly.
Between getting drafted and getting to the highest level of the pros, they deserve to be treated well, and they're being treated better, but not you know,
The way they
but
peak, the way
not
they should.
not at a level that is that properly values what they offer to the short and long term health of the game.
Definitely. Very interesting. Well, Brad, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on for the first time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yo, man, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor to be part of the Full Scope Pod. So thank you, Wellington.
Appreciate it. Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Wellington Burns. This has been Full Scope. See you later.